doing your investigative stories, you get 100 views on YouTube and you're frustrated. It's our duty to train them or through our program to like, hey, you need to start valuing high quality content. But telling them alone won't help. You need, of course, to produce a most attractive content, not sensationalism, no. The way you package your content, whether it's 3 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever that is, 10 minutes, but make sure it also goes with the audience, whatever news consumption behavior. Our audience currently is predominantly youth, between 18 years to 35 years. The way they consume news is different from my grandma. She would be glued to the radio stations since morning to evening. But people are in the go with smartphones and everything. So if we think around these elements, and of course the last thing I think we need to do most of data-driven decision making on how we package our news, how we gather them, even in the way we create our business model, it will help. Subscription may work in USA or in German, but it may not work here where our GDP per capita is still, less than $1,200. Grants may work somewhere, but may not really work here because it depends on the foundations and the donors. So all of this, if we do data-driven decision making in the newsroom, I think newsrooms will survive even for the next 5,000 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Nizrat. Jami, from the video that you shared with us, you've tracked, the journey of Tanzanian media. Do you have any insights on how the future would look like?
Thank you. I will start by explaining a bit about the video that I've shared with you. I'm just that is.
Good afternoon. So I have a question to Yemi Forums. On your presentation, you used the word undermine. And personally, I think there's a thin line between undermining and regulating. So I'd really love to understand what you meant in this context. What you really meant by undermining the freedom of expression or like journalism, what you really meant by that.
Okay. Yes, I think this is fine. Okay. Yes. Good afternoon. I am Francis Nyonzo, a programs officer from Jamii Forums, and I would like to explain a bit about the video that we have shared. What we have seen is some technological advancements which we don't actually address recently. And this is why we have categorized like this is traditional media and the digital media. This says, from the traditional media, you can see there was some developments from the print media, radio, then we came to televisions. And there was antagonism in each and every advancement that happened in the history. And I can say mostly those who are, say, from print media always are antagonists to any other advancement that comes to them. Of course, it just happened, and I have read a paper of Stama that showed how the government was against even the televisions. They said they were for the airlights, so most of the people couldn't get the message. Similar thing is happening right now when we are somehow antagonists to the digitalizations. And we have spoken much about how it can affect the print media, the traditional media. But we have seen our brothers here saying how it has actually helped them to have these media outlets that do not print anything but still get money. The Chanzo initiatives, Nukta Africa, and the like. So it is a call for the one who asked the question, what is the future? The future is, we should learn from the history, like, you cannot resist any advancement that comes towards you. And the world now is going to the digital. It is going to be digitalized. So everything is actually changed. We have to be digital. And we have seen the digital economy. And we have these e-papers, the e-opportunities. They all tell us, like, we should be such digital. And this says to all the media outlets, be it traditional or a digital one, is to call for more people to be connected. This is the audience that we want. And it is from the audience that you can sell your content, or you can get money out of these people who are subscribing to your content. Of course, we have seen some of the, from the research that has been presented here, the amount of money that some media outlets do get from the subscriptions. That means we need people online. However, I've said that we are somehow antagonists to this technological. This is why we all take, like, of course, I have heard an argument from one of our brothers, of a brother here say, these people online, they always chase views or likes, so they do spread the fake news, right? But the truth is, if you are spreading in rumors, the fake news, automatically people will not be following you every now and then, because no one is interested in the fake news. And it is now the task now for the other media outlets to counter, to fact check. This is where comes the issue of the fact checking. So people will just, if you have your, let's say it is a Facebook page or Instagram page, which fact checks everything that is happening in the social media. So you will be relevant and the people will follow you instead of the one that is spreading the fake news. So we should not worry about the so-called fake news. The so-called fake news. Please, I want to put myself clear on that. The so-called fake news. We should not be worrying of that thing to the extent that we want to ban everything that's happening in the digital world. Coming to what the brother asked about the undermining the freedom of speech. I read the Tanzanian Constitution, Article 18. Article 18 of Tanzanian Constitution gives any person the rights to get and to disseminate information, to share information. But you have seen the laws and regulations that somehow want to put away some of the people from sharing information. And now I should actually take argument from yesterday. Brother Kamanzi differentiated between citizen journalists and journalists. The issue here is like, say, somebody should not share the information just because he has been to school, to these journalism schools. But what if I am an economist and I can do the analysis about the economic issues? Am I not having the authority to speak about the economic issues just because I'm not a journalist? And this is why, the same way you take the journalists to school, to short courses to learn about financial issues or economic issues, tell the stories with data. Similarly, some who is not a journalist can be given some of the trainings on the ethics of telling the stories while observing the ethics that you want to be observed. The issue here, when we speak of the, taking what Brother Kamanzi yesterday said, the issue is not, if you are a professional now, you can actually differentiate yourself from these other people who are sharing information. The only difference you can give is you should have some backgrounds, you should just go deeper than this man who is just sharing what has happened. But what we see from the laws and regulations that are now in practice is some people are not even allowed to share the information. Now, I was asking myself, like, if I see accident has happened, I can tell somebody close to me, like, I have seen an accident somewhere. This is information sharing, right? Similarly, if I do post that thing on Facebook or Instagram, it is information sharing. Like, I have seen an accident happen somewhere. Now, why can it become a crime when I do share the information on Facebook, while if I tell somebody who is close to me, it's fine? This is why we need to tell people we should put ourselves in a way that we do understand how digital world is changing, is transforming the issues. And we should not be an antagonist to them. Instead, we should learn how to go with it. And this is why I do say, even yesterday I said this, Aga Khan University has got a master's degree in digital journalism. Why? Because they have registered themselves faster. But we just want to be against it. I just want to put this clear. We were against the televisions, and we can see what we are doing right now. We got few televisions than other countries that accepted the technology earlier. The faster we are on accepting the technologies, the more relevant we will be in this digital world. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Francis. You had a question as well? And there? Okay, so let's start here.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Jamii Forum, for your presentation. I have questions to the Aga Khan University, as well as the Jamii Forum, and some clarity when it comes to a journalist. The word that they used yesterday, I think putting in Swahili is more easier. The mwana habari and waandishi wa habari, citizen journalist and a journalist. There is no way in a community like Tanzania we can proceed in the media industry if we do not address these two. Why? We have seen the government is trying to control the morality, the decency, the ethics when it comes to media, and that gets to everyone in the industry. So my question is, some of us here are development partners, some are media organizations, some are media companies, and so forth, and the university. Are there any initiatives that we can come with together, creating a triangle? Because as an advocate of freedom of press, freedom of media, freedom of expression, as Mr. Tan is, we want this to be done in the right way. Not just because that I'm free to say anything, then I say fake news is okay, we don't need to get into that, because fake news has caused a lot of harm in the society. But how can we create a space whereby there is a freedom of expression, there is a freedom of media, but yet we regulate the space of allowing fake news, because it's really bad. Just imagine you wake up in the morning, you just find somebody decided to post something very ill of you, and you're sure it's not, but that person has a traffic, and you are attaining something. You need to use a lot of effort to clear that. So we need to find a way that we can come to that. And my thinking, I believe with the development partners and others, if we have road users who are even standard 2 class, but for them to use the road, they should have a license that is, normally the license is 3 years here in Tanzania, the road license. They go for a special training just to brush out ethics, the way about of using the road for 2 weeks, and then they get a license. But if they do anything not proper, not according, the traffic regulators, they take away the license from them. They can even ban for them to use the road for a particular time. And it's very fair. It doesn't mean that they have not exercised their freedom of movement. They can still move, but they can make sure that everybody is safe. Then in the media arena, we should come up with a solution that, because what I see is the government is living in the dark when it comes to this space, and media actors and the business people also, they are in the same, it's like a giant that has just come to Tanzania and like, what can we do? You are stopping this. This is making money. This is sharing information. We want some ethics and all that. Maybe that's a room. But also when it comes to master's degree in digital journalism, with which Aga Khan University is doing it, which is very good. As much as we have traditional media that, as it has been reported, it's going to be there because there are a number of people who are still using it. But as previous presenters say, if at all the news is well cooked, is well presented, still there'll be people who want to use it. This is a call of having a digital media as a component in our universities. Because currently, I'm pretty sure, I'm not a journalist, but I'm business, economic oriented, because I know any newsroom, any business-oriented person will move with the space of who is my consumer, where is the demand. So if that's the case, then let us see a room of bringing the answer to that, because otherwise just training, because in our group we mentioned something about succession. We have journalists now, we have editors now, but if we don't give them a proper startup, it will always be a problem when they get to practice.
Thank you very much. Unaweza kusema kwa sekunde chache sana kwa sababu muda umekwisha.
Thank you. Yeah. I need an interpreter because I'm not fluent in English. So you can assist me. Because I'm not sure that those people we are targeting to use English, whether they know English. Maybe they know Turkish. And we are struggling here with the misamiati to make them comfortable while they don't know even English. Anyway, tuendelee. Yeah, my friend from Jamii Forum, you asked the question, but you just became a bit circumlocucious, but you didn't even answer the question. You asked whether the government is undermining the freedom of expression or regulating, but you didn't say anything. Let me try to answer for you. The government of Tanzania is facilitating the freedom of expression. That's why we find that we have more than 3 newspapers, while the government has got about 5 out of more than 300 newspapers. Radio stations, we have over 200 radio stations, but the government has got only 1 or 2. Likewise, the TV stations, we have more than 50. TV stations, but the government has got only one. There is one country on this planet which has more than 3,000 TV stations, but they all bring to the state. So unaona mheshimiwa. So I better tell you or ask you to remove that word or phrase of undermining the press freedom, where you say the government is facilitating or is enabling. Asante bwana.
Let's go. So, Francis.
Asante. Naomba nitumie Kiswahili kwa wakati huu, then I will be switching kwa haraka haraka. This is my very first time to hear kwamba freedom of expression can be regulated. My very first time. How am I free if I am regulated? That would be a question. Nije kwa wadada Riziki anasema kuhusu hizi teknolojia, na of course anasema wanahabari na vitu kama hivyo, akisema kwamba magari yanakuwa licensed na nini. Tunapoangalia katika masuala ndio maana nimesema kwamba hizi habari mnazosema ni fake, mnazosema ni fake, ndio zimezalisha fact checking, kwamba kuna poto nyingine kwa ajili ya kucounter hizi. Hiyo haiwezi kutokea kama ajali imetokea. Yani kwamba when you speak of the car, ikitokea ajali, you cannot do anything kusema kwamba that, lakini habari imetokea kule ukaandika huku, no, that is wrong, hii ni right. The effect is clear. Kwa hiyo tukifananisha hii magari na freedom ya mtu kujielezea ni tofauti. Sasa ukisema regulating, mzee wangu, kuna baadhi ya watu wameongea vitu leo, kesho kaondolewa newsroom. Umeregulate, umefinya, maana mwingine ataogopa kuongea kesho. We should be clear on this. Kwa hiyo kwa haraka haraka hizi terms tutazitumia nyingi kwamba mwanahabari, habari na nini, lakini kiuhalisia inabidi jamani twende na digitali. Tunapokuwa tunapinga digitali kwa term hiyo, hawa kina Nozlak na watu wa chanzo watapiga hatua nyingi kuliko hizi newsroom ambazo zinazidi kujifungia huku, hazitaki kuwa na kujua kwamba vitu vinabadilika na kwenda sawa na digitali. Asante.
Asante, Francis. Thank you very much. I will now, pole, bahati mbaya muda umekwisha, labda mwishoni. Hand it over to Kels and she'll tell us what's next.
Asante sana Sami, makofi kwake tafadhali. Sami Awami. Incredible conversations. Kuna mengi ya kuzungumzia kama tunavyoona, muda unatutupa mkono. Time is not on our side, or are we not on time side? One of the two. We are moving on to the next session. The next session is we're going to have our innovators come and present their ideas, their products, and so on and so forth. Every innovator, please put your hand up. Innovators, makofi kwao. Somebody asked, what is the future? This is the future, right here. All right? So we're going to have the teams led by Benson Gitaiga, who is outside. He's walking right inside this. In the next 5 seconds, he's going to be in, and he's going to let us know which ones are the innovators that are pitching. Now, considering time, we're going to try our best. Like I said, we have 8 teams. Each team is presenting for about 5 minutes. That means we will need 40 minutes of presentation. We only have 30 minutes on our hands. And so one of the things that we're trying to work on is we might have to select some of the innovators where we'd have about 5 or 6 presenting. If not, we'll try our best, right? So one of the things that's going to happen right after, like we said, they're going to have booths outside where they're going to be showcasing their innovations, to visit them outside, get to hear about their innovations and interact with them right when they're on the stage. But we're going to have that time allocated outside, right outside these doors. Mr. Benton Getaiga, karibu sana, makofi kwake tafadhali.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm here to take you on a very quick journey on media innovators across Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. At the Aga Khan University Graduate School of Media and Communication, we have the Media Innovation Center. Through it, we have managed to have 13 startups across, and I'm very happy to say that they're fresh, they're innovative, and they're sustainable. They're so sustainable that so far, they've raised over $1 million across the 13. So we're going to go straight ahead and go with the first startup, which is debunk. Debunk, you have 3 minutes to do this, so we can try and have time.
So what we're going to do, right after as Debunk is preparing themselves, Benson is also going to prepare the next innovators that are coming after Debunk. If you can allow me to just ask you to stand on the side here, we're going to arrange ourselves in a way that will allow us to come to the stage one after the other. Right before your presentations, I have been asked to bring to the stage Dr. Nancy Booker, to invite our representative from the German embassy to kind of take us along the journey and now lay the stage for the presenters who are coming. Karibu sana, Dr. Nancy.
Thank you for that. It is my singular honor to be here again. To welcome the head of cooperation at the German embassy in Tanzania to make some remarks. And why this is important for me at a very personal level is that, many of you had Kari speak earlier today, and part of the support, the financial support that enabled him, and I think I also saw Absalom Kibanda earlier on, that support came to us through a very generous grant under the East Africa Media Scholarship from the German Development Bank. So we are working very collaboratively with our colleagues and counterparts, from Germany to support, media development in this part of the continent. So Dr. Catherine Bonneman grew up in Saudi Arabia and in Germany, and her studies in the fields of political science and media and communication studies led her to Spain, Bolivia, the UK, and Germany, where she later on obtained her PhD. And, she's currently the head of cooperation at the German embassy in Tanzania since 2020. So, Catherine, please come. We are delighted to have you. Set the stage as we welcome our innovators in residence. A good number of the teams also coming from Tanzania. Karibu sana.
Thank you so much for the friendly words. Habari za leo. Anaitwa Catherine Bonneman, ninafanya kazi ubalozi wa Ujerumani, ninakaa Dar es Salaam. Lakini kwa bahati mbaya Kiswahili yangu. Kwa hiyo sina budi nitaji kuendelea kwa Kiingereza. Sorry. It's always nice to start something in Swahili because this is how you get some applause in the beginning. That's nice. Thank you. I will be very quick. I understand that we don't have much time left. And let me just quickly tell you a little bit why I am here. I'm the head of cooperation, which means I'm responsible for the development cooperation from Germany and Tanzania. We are supporting the Deutsche Welle Academy. We are supporting Friedrich Ebert Stiftung. And we are also supporting Aga Khan University. So just imagine like a little German flag also there next to the Canadian one maybe. Right now we're supporting Tanzania with media development about 1 million euros per annum. So this means that this sector indeed is very important for us. This is one reason why I'm here, to assure you that Germany is very keen on supporting media development also in the future. My second reason here is that I'm here to learn from you, and this is why I will be hopefully very quick. And my third reason is that I would like to underline once again how important media development is actually for development cooperation. If you remember the CAG, the Auditor's General report has been published lately. And me, myself, I was very very happy to see how this report was also received in the media and how there was also reporting on it. We see this as a very clear and good sign that there is good journalists there that can take up all these important information. Also, I would like to underline that free speech and independent journalists and media houses is more important than ever. I think I'd like to draw quickly upon what my pre-speaker has said when it came to fake news, because I'm not so much on the same page there. I think I go more with my colleague here sitting in the front, and I really do believe that fake news and fake information is actually a problem in today's society, not only in Tanzania, not in Uganda, not only in Kenya, but also, of course, in Germany and Europe. And I think it is your tasks as responsible journalists and media houses to work against that. Of course, there are people that are interested in fake news and fake media. And I think it is the duty of every responsible journalist and media house to do good research, the background research, and to draw upon information and data. The task is to look very closely, to decover and to also report corruption if taking place. It's the watchdog function of society. It's an important pillar for democracy and to inclusion, and of course to watch about over human rights. And I think human rights and the protection of free press and media is now more important than ever. We condemn hate speech. We condemn hate speech against women. We also condemn hate speech against ethnic minorities, as such has been sometimes the case against the Maasai. We urge to protect all human beings, no matter the sex, the gender, or skin color. In particular, in times we need to protect our relationships that are built on love. We should look very careful if hate is fueling the speeches. And we had seen that lately, that hate speech also reported in media could lead to real actions, could lead to discrimination and actually also to murder. So I would urge you to be very vigilant here. I don't want to, no, one last sentence there. I think that when we try to protect the vulnerable ones in our society, it is also because vulnerability can shift. Today it might be them, tomorrow it might be us. So have this in mind. I was asked also to sum up a little bit the outcomes of the researches of Media Futures East Africa. I think very important is to say, once again, one of the main sources for revenue income is commercial adverts. This is something that we need to have in mind when we come about speaking about the independency of media houses and journalists. Also, one finding was that during COVID times, still the governmental ads and commercials were there to save them through the COVID crisis. This means that governmental funding is important, but how could we actually shift that to a more neutral funding? I think there was also an idea to, for example, creating a fund, a governmental fund where media houses could draw money out. I think I don't want to steal so much time from the innovators because they are more important also than me. Let me just quickly assure you that we really deeply appreciate your work. I understand that we're listening, or that Media Future East Africa was supporting 9 innovators, which were also the ones working in the field. I think 4 from Tanzania, 4 from Kenya, 1 from Uganda are here or are supported. And I'm very eager to listen to your tools, to your innovative, also maybe revenue models, and what kind of media startups you were looking at. And we are very proud of your work. So thank you once again, and I hope to get into discussions with many of you today and tomorrow. Thank you. I hope I was quick enough.
Okay, we're going to go all the way to Uganda, and Debunk, please take the stage.
Hi everyone. Hello. Habari. How many of us here in March 2020 believed that Africa was not going to manage the COVID-19 pandemic? Just raise your hand. How many of you actually thought our families were all going to perish on the continent because the European countries were not able to contain the virus? How many? How many of you were scared that the next day you were not going to actually live because the story at the time was that the continent would never manage to help us survive? Those are the narratives, and that's the story. We are the first ever fact-checking organization in Uganda, and that's the D-Bank. My name is Marina Pio. I am the CEO. I'm not alone. I came with Bella, who's our communications person. Wow. When someone says fake news is not an issue, I worry. Fake news is a human rights challenge, and it's about time we actually recognize the impact it has had on many people. Think about the pandemic and how many people believed so many stories, and people who died taking on concoctions, thinking that if they did steam over and over and over again, they were going to fight the virus. Misinformation spreads very fast. From that research, you can see 75%, my apologies, more likely to be retweeted than factual information. And so you would ask, why debunk, right? Why us? Let me ask, how many of you here don't care about information? Okay, let me rephrase. How many of you care about information? And that's what we are here for. We are not only tracking and debunking misinformation, we want to give you the accurate information you need so that the people you serve make informed decisions. For the past few years we've been together, we've been able to produce a number of factual information. We've been able to prototype a fact-checking bot that can help you and I and our communities access accurate information. We've trained young people from the partnership we've had with Aga Khan University. And why we're here today, we are asking for strategic partnerships to help us build these models. They asked, what are our revenue models? We are the agency we would like you to trust to give young people accurate information. And as a fact-checking agency, if you're interested about education, that's the content we're going to produce. We would like to get money to partner with you so that we produce mass fact-checks, not only in audio, text, or video, but the content that people need to make informed decisions. We also have the bot and a number of things. And so, this is my conclusion. If you care about society, if you care about the decision-making processes for young people, if you care about human rights, if you care about democracy, this is about time that we fight misinformation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Next, we are still in Uganda, where Simon from Open Science will be here to pitch. Please, this is how we clap for Simon because he's deaf. Okay, great job.
Thank you so much. My name is Simon Eroko. I'm from Uganda. So, I am an advocate for inclusion, where we support people with disabilities to access information. So I'll begin by telling you a story. There was a young man who was my friend. His name was Willis. He used to live in northern Uganda. This is a region which has seen more than 20 years of war because of Joseph Kony. Just coming out of this war, this young man once walked out during COVID time there was curfew. So the military decided to shoot at him. Once they shoot at him, his left leg was cut off. He was admitted in hospital, and then later he lost his life. He's a deaf young man. He had a hearing problem. So that is just an example of the challenges deaf people face in Uganda. So we decided that we cannot see that anymore. The solution was for us to start Sun TV Uganda. So Sun TV was a media channel to help convey information in sign language to the deaf community. We piloted the idea and started in May last year. So Sun TV started broadcasting content, which includes a program that broadcasts content which is live. What is happening in the community, we broadcast it in sign language. And then again, we started a weekly program where we give news to the deaf community in sign language. Then there was also a Health Matters program where we give deaf people access information, health information like HIV, AIDS, contraceptives, and many other information. Then also we add the entertainment program. So all that has helped us reach over 10,000 views. We also have 500 subscribers on our YouTube channel, and also positive rating from the community we work with. With that, we have seen several drawbacks, and one of them is lack of original content to provide to the community, because we do not have those people to help report news for us. Then also we have the challenge of having enough equipment to serve programmings for all the people who need to access them. So our programming is quite limited. It assesses only weekly programs, which are not enough. So we are thinking more about trying to expand our reach by finding solutions to those challenges. And one of the solutions we have is to start up a sign reporters program where we are able to train young people who can be reporters in sign language. So when you have those reporters, they can be able to collect stories in sign language and broadcast them to the audience. Another is having a mobile studio where people can be able to access our studio and produce content in sign language. We also want to expand our programming to make sure that we are able to provide programming almost daily for our community, so that they access programs every day from our channel. So we are looking out for more support. And one of that, before we expand and produce that content, we need almost $156,000 US to help us start this fellowship. We also need to do a staffing and increase the number of people who work with us, because right now we are only a small team of 5 people. We also want to expand our equipment and also register our television so that it can be able to broadcast on channels like DSTV, Azam, and many others. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Simon. Next up, from your very own country, is Hamasa. Emmanuel and Salima, please.
Hello, everyone. My name is Emmanuel from Hamasa. There is a fundamental changes in the media landscape in Tanzania and the world at large, and digital transformation the first and foremost area of concern. Yet, in our society, we are still lacking behind. Data illiteracy in accuracy of information, data illiteracy in accuracy of technical tools and marketing research is the one of area many small and media community radios are suffering. So this makes us Hamasa come with something called the Hamasa Analytics. Hamasa Analytics is a cloud-based system tailored to the small and media scale business, small and media scale media, to help them to digitalize their entire business. So the Hamasa Analytics focus on 4 areas: performance analytics, finance, human resource, and content programming. The market size of media house in Tanzania is more than 500, but we choose to not kick the ball too far. Our attainable market size for current is 200 media house, those small and media sizes. We have succeeded to reach more than 60 media house up to now. So during the program, we have succeeded to visit the physical more than 25 media houses, more than 24 media houses. And during the program of developing the system, we have succeeded to train media innovation training, like publishing on different platforms, fact-checking more than 43 media houses. And our revenue model is to give free subscription, which you say like grace period for the 6 months. Media house will have to access human resource and finance for the 6 months, and then enter into subscription. Ideal is to have at least the first 50 media house to start with. Our short-term milestone is to reach other regions. So for the time being, we succeed to reach only 10 regions. So it's to cover up the all regions Tanzania and to invite new partners. And the future is to look on how we can to generate other sources of income out from this system. And that is the team behind this program. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hamasa Media. A fun fact is they've already closed a few deals with some media houses across not only East Africa, but in Zambia. So they're making money already, which is amazing. Next on stage is Digital Safaris from Mwanza. Please.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Latifa Klebo from Digital Safari Tanzania, Mwanza, and this is
Habari za mchana. Yeah, I prefer using Kiswahili kwa sababu tuko Tanzania. Kwani tufungwe sana. Naitwa Tanjana Francis Mgonja kutokea Digital Safari. Imagine waking up in the morning and opening your window and you see the peak of Mount Kilimanjaro. How do you feel? Seeing the sunrise in the morning, how do you feel? Africa is the motherland of all nature with beauty and inspiring things that you can see and experience. But where do we get to see these all things? In Africa, you can see, like, there is so many things that you can see, like water, and also there is waterfalls from Lake Victoria, which is called Lake Victoria Falls, which go all the way to River Nile and watering millions of lives on its way there. But who cares about it? We only see Europeans coming to Africa to explore things. But we have so many things to explore, like Mount Kilimanjaro, and that greenish thing that you can see there is Ngorongoro craters. How do you feel seeing it in person?
Okay, and just imagine you are seeing the dancing stone. I know many of you can think yourselves and ask yourselves, how can the stone dance? It is possible and it is true. You can only find it in Africa, Tanzania, Mwanza, at Ukala. the stone dancing after receiving the permission from the owner. And tourism is one of the main way in African country to create and generate more income. Not only that, but it provides jobs to millions of people. The people you are seeing there are Africans in Paris. Instead of visiting their local tourism, instead of visiting the Mount Kilimanjaro, instead of visiting the dancing stone in Ukerewe, they went outside to explore. So, as Digital Safari, we conducted a research and 87% recommended a creative, inspired, and educatable stories through film. Also, we create online tourism platform where everyone can see it and can select the package and go or visit where it can.
Okay, with the help of DW and AKU, we managed to film 2 films, which is one called Nyanzara, and which will show you the beauty of Lake Victoria, and also Nje, which has 3 series, which also will show you different places that you can visit in Tanzania. Apart from that, after getting inspired from the movies that you're going to see, you go to the platform, or we can say it's a booth, where you get to book your safari to go visit the mother nature of beauty, Africa.
We targeted youth aged from 25 to 40 years, the families, the organization, and the corporates.
Our business model, we depend on tourism packages and also commission work and endorsements. As you're seeing our team, us as young and growing innovators, we are still growing, we are still working on our business, and we still want to grow. You can't grow alone. We want to grow with other people with us. So we are looking for partners who can partner with us, help us in this journey to help Africans tour Africa, because you can't go outside. You can't value somebody's thing if you can't value your own thing that you have at home. Thank you very much. If you have any question, you can see us to our booth outside.
Thank you very much, ladies. Now we go back to Uganda, where we're going to meet Nana and Sarah from the Citizen Report. Nana and Sarah.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nana, and this is my colleague Sarah, and we're from the Citizen Report, which is a Ugandan non-profit which is focused on building a civically engaged citizenry. And we thought, what better way to do this than to create a game that is fun and engaging, but teaches young people particularly, between the ages of 10 and 16, the tenets of good news sourcing and media literacy. So my colleague is going to take over and kind of give us a run-through of how the game works.
Hi, everyone. Our game's goal is to build good fact-checking habits, not just with children, but with adults as well, because as we know, adults are also struggling with this. So the major principles that we have focused on are 3, and these are: who said this, why, when, or where did they say this, and has anyone else said something about this? So in this case, as an example, if I told you that in Uganda, to get a national ID, you need to apply with a bank statement, what would you ask me? Who said this? What's the next thing you can ask me? Why? And the third thing, has anyone else? Exactly. And these are skills that we think a regular citizen should be equipped with, because even if they don't have access to, go to Google and check and see, does the NERA website say this, or does this website say this? it's possible for them to ask directly the person who is telling them to answer these few questions for them to fact check. And that's what our game is all about. We hope that it would be a lot better for you to engage with our game like in person. It's quite a small game. So if you could like join us at our booth, we'd really love to play around with you.
So yeah, it's better for you to see it and we play it along with you. But what we're asking for is for the possible collaboration to build this into an online platform that could work as an app or a program that is shared on laptops and computers across schools in Uganda and possibly to spread to the rest of East Africa, but just to equip young students with these skills and build it in them from the time that they're young so that they can grow up learning and knowing how to be discernible citizens who have the ability to fact check. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Nana. A fun fact is they are going to scale this also into a national competition. They're thinking about ensuring that kids can compete competitively. Now we go to Kenya, to a very remote part of Kenya called Budalangi, where we have Vyombo Media.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Monica Nerima, the communications lead at Vyombo Media Solutions Limited. As you've heard, we come from Budalangi, Busia County of Kenya. I'm with Sherry Nakinyi, who is our lead researcher. Vyombo Media Solutions Limited is generally a company that advocates for change using media content. We got into the Innovator in Residence with the Aga Khan. And for this project, we based on creating content on HIV/AIDS that will align with our community. So allow me take you through a short scenario to take you to Budalangi. Budalangi is majorly a fishing community. That is the major economic activity that we indulge in. In Budalangi, getting fish is not as easy as taking your money, going to the beach, and you just buy it. There are other issues that you will encounter while wanting to buy fish. In Budalangi, mostly, rich boat owners or those people that own the boat that are supposed to sell fish to fishmongers take advantage of them and sexually exploit them. So they'll always ask for sexual favors for you to get fish. Remember, it's the only or it's the major economic activity that happens in Budalangi. So a lot of people will always want to be in that business. Aside from that, we'll attribute the high HIV prevalence rates currently experienced in Budalangi to the traditions and myths because of ignorance of our community. Poverty levels are also very high, and so this will make so many people, especially school-going girls, and even those in colleges, vulnerable to rich men or rich people around. So in the process, it contributes to the high HIV prevalence rates currently experienced in Budalangi. We also say, aside from ignorance, we have a section of people who haven't gone to school. And so you find that health content is mostly packaged in brochures that are hectic for the common person to get knowledge of what they're doing. This is why Vyombo Media Solutions Limited came in and repackage and simplify the health content into a language that our people will align to, or rather our people will understand. We produce plays using local artists and in a local language, which we then air in our social media platforms, but also majorly on radio, a community radio in Budalangi, which has a followership or rather a listenership of about 250,000 people. So by then we will be reaching our people in a language that they really do understand. Aside from having the interviews, we go to the market centers, we go to school institutions, we even go to the beaches where the fishmongers and the fish or boat owners are. We do live skits for them in an entertaining way, of course, which will hook them up and they'll get the information. And in the process, they will learn what maybe other stakeholders package in brochures that they wouldn't have known about. We also run very active social media platforms. For instance, we have a WhatsApp page where we have health experts and residents of Budalangi who willingly join. They always ask their questions and they are responded to by the experts there. So it's very lively. Aside from that, we also have a followership on Facebook where we air our content and people are able to engage us directly.
And we had this idea in the year 2020, and the year 2021, through the Aga Khan University, we won a grant, which enabled us to acquire an office space and also to produce content. So from last year, April, we produced 12 radio dramas and 24 expert interviews. We've also gotten into partnership with Bulal FM, which is a community radio station, and Ampat Kenya, which provide us with the experts in our shows. And I believe we've got impact at the ground, because as per now, through our partners, we distribute free condoms to the community. And we also have 12 experts who are willing to work with us. We've employed 8 staffs, 7 artists, and 1 security officer. We've also engaged with our community or with our listeners directly through the radio slots. We've got call-ins and SMSs, whereby I can say that we've created a safe space for the listeners, because they call to express their problem, their views. Like the last show we had, there's a woman who called, and you will feel the pain from her voice, requesting or asking the expert why her kids have been dying at the age of 15, and yet they adhere to the medicines. So we've been doing this, and our main objective is to change mindsets and promote positive behavior change. So we welcome any partner, any support from you who'd like to support us continue with this journey, not only on HIV and AIDS, but rather any vertical that require community sensitization, so that we can change the mindset. Thank you.
Okay, from radio dramas to animation and comic book studios. The next startup is from here, Tanzania. I want to introduce you to Glory from Afyatun.
Habari. Habari. Na wasalimu kwa jina la Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania. Okay, kazi endelee. So, my name is Glory Charles Mlagwa from Afyatun. I am a medical doctor. And just yesterday, I was telling the mother that came to the hospital that her son has type 4 hypersensitivity due to the tuna fish that the son ate from Forodhani, and that is due to a genetic composition that he has inherited from the father. You're all looking at me. Actually, you haven't understood a thing that is troubling the son. So the existing methods of presenting the medical information and medical education in Tanzania and in Africa as whole are very complex and scary, that most people either do not want to hear, and even for those who want to hear, it becomes very complicated for them. So at Afyatun, we aim to first digitalize the health education. And after digitalizing them, we have to put it in a way that first it will entertain you to hear, but also it will leave you with proper education aside from the sites that you now get your health education. So this solution that we are offering is in form of storytelling that we co-create with our communities using our animation studio. And our aim is not just to create millions of videos to share online or wherever people are, but what we really want to do is to foster behavioral change so that people can seek for preventive measures and seek for better health lifestyles rather than waiting to get sick and come to the hospitals to see us. Our products will be distributed in 4 different channels. Are distributed in 4 different channels. We have an online platform, we have a website, as well as other accounts that we do have on social media. So if you go to Instagram, Twitter, we are all there. And we have grassroots outreach programs, that is, for the communities that are not available online, we reach them through community-based cinema showcasing. Imagine you're having your Mbuzi Cup somewhere in a village, but before they start playing football, for just 10 minutes, I play a video that is a story based on diabetes. So by the end of that community gathering, they will both be entertained from the football cup, but as well as obtain a proper medical education that is not scary to them. Another channel of outsourcing our product is through school outreach programs. That is, we follow kids at school. Maybe it's a boarding school. They have 6 months of being at school where they have scanty source of medical information. So we follow them there, impact them with the knowledge. And lastly, we are doing media partnerships, that we have televisions and radios that have the local grassroots reach, so we can take the videos there, partner with them, as whoever is watching the channel will also get a proper medical information, but again, in a simpler form. Our milestone since we started the onboarding with Aga Khan, we have been able to establish the basic animation studio. Before that, we just used to outsource the work, which was tiresome, but now we have the basic animation studio that we are using to produce our own content. And through that, we have been able to reach over 25,000 audience online and 3,000 students in secondary school. But we have also been able to be equipped with proper knowledge. As I said earlier, I am a medical personnel, so through the Aga Khan onboarding program, we have been impacted with the proper knowledge that can help us to produce better content that can impact our community, not in a form that we as medical doctors use to think that it's proper for the community. And we have also been able to secure other funds apart from the Aga Khan funds, and we are now entering into partnership with UNFPA, where we have secured a sum of $30,000 to work around female genital mutilation. The next steps from this outboarding will be to complete a mental health animated series that is at 80% now. And after that, we want to do a widespread grassroots distribution of this content to make sure that majority in our society really understand what mental health is. And we are also looking forward to create the animated series around female genital mutilation, where we will partner with UNFPA to spread knowledge about that too. And also we will create an animated series on antimicrobial resistance. And we are looking forward for a partnership with Tanzania Media Foundation to train journalists on reporting around health-based stories, that a journalist will not just go out and produce the medical information in a way that will be scary to people. So we look forward to partner with journalists in order to make sure that both them and us are impacting our society. Our business models is based on 3 arms, that is consultancy, advertisement, as well as subscriptions. So we are looking forward to raise some more amount of money in order to make sure we are expanding. In order to create these, there are some of the costs that have to be covered, and we have not been able to reach our break even yet. So this is the team comprised of medical personnel, the medical doctors, pharmacists, and lab scientists that are creating these contents. And here are the sample of our character. And the lovely videos from these characters will be displayed outside. So please kindly visit our booth. Thank you.
Okay, those are good numbers. 30,000 raised so far. and we gave them $20,000 already. This is good money. I'm enjoying, being in the startup scene and seeing media startups really thriving. Last but not least is the African Institute of Investigative Journalism, and I'd like Solomon to come on stage.
Asante sana. Habari kila mtu. Karibu tena wananchi wa Afrika Mashariki and everyone. Thank you so much. I just wanted to ask for your attention for just 1 minute. Please have a look at the screen and then I can get started.
This one can inject 10 people.
Imagine living in a country where dodgy doctors and crooked chemists steal life-saving drugs destined for the sick.
This is a racket. It's a racket of people who are out there to make money out of drugs that are supposed to be given to patients free of charge.
A medical mafia motivated by greed rather than care of patients.
We are dealing with lives. We are not talking about spare parts of a car. We're talking about actually lives.
My name is Solomon Serwanja. I am an investigative journalist and a presenter on Ugandan TV. For the last 10 months, I've headed an undercover team exposing how health workers here are at the heart of a criminal network.
We are not supposed to sell it. We're supposed to give it for free.
Real is that we need to be trustworthy.
We have been in this game for so long now.
Drugs. The business of drugs is more lucrative than the business of God.
But as we dig deeper into this murky world, things start to go wrong. My undercover team is snatched.
They were taken, could be some bad cops or rogue guys or criminal guys who are holding them, and they may want a ransom, and that when it gets to that, then you get scared, man. You get really, really, really scared. That's an extract from an investigation titled Stealing from the Sick that I did in collaboration with the BBC Africa Eye. I have had an opportunity of working with different international medias supporting investigative journalism on the continent. I've worked with Voice of America. I've worked with the Al Jazeera project, which was, I think, Africa Investigates. I also had an opportunity of working with the BBC Africa Eye. I've been an investigative journalist for the last 15 years of my life. Being in the newsroom, and an African newsroom to do investigation, just like one of my colleagues who was here was saying, you will invest about $5,000 to just do one investigation. $5,000 sometimes can stretch to $10,000 to do just one story. And so I understood the challenges of doing investigative journalism in the newsroom. That includes one single project can be expensive. But investigative journalism by its very nature requires a different skill set. And it doesn't just come natural. And so a team, next slide please. So the story that you just watched scores the power of investigative journalism and the impact it can have. Shortly after we did the story, MPs, this story was screened in Parliament, and members of Parliament asked that an investigation is launched and a number of people were arrested. The president went on a campaign across the country calling for people who are stealing drugs to stop. Now, it didn't even stop here. Of course, the story and the film was recognized internationally, and it won the Association of International Broadcasters Awards. But that's not the point. The point is that since the story was done, the European Union has since supported Uganda to come up with technology to follow the medicine to the last user. Needless to say, the public was aware that this vice was actually happening, and then they started to actually report medical workers, and they would tip off the police and government agencies to actually go and arrest people. But what does it take to do investigative journalism? It's different. And so having been in a newsroom, I'm very aware that the investigative journalism takes a certain skill set, and it requires heavy investment. Needless to say that there's been so many times that we've done stories, and those stories never make it through to be published or even to be broadcasted because of political interference. The commercialization becomes difficult. And so a team of colleagues came up with the African Institute for Investigative Journalism. And of course, what was our dream? Our dream was to start and grow a network of investigative journalists across the continent, build their capacity in investigative reporting, provide small grants to them, and also come up with equipment that can facilitate them to do their work. Now, what was our success story? So we came with our hearts out and we poured it all to AKU and DW that supported us. And together we've been able to train 30 journalists. We have also given out small grants to them. And we've also created the iRoom platform, which platform is open for investigative journalists to publish their work, even if it has been rejected by their mainstream media house. What else have we achieved now? We've set up workstations for investigative journalists. We've also bought equipment, so like secret filming cameras and edit suites for them to work on their stories. We've also set up several workspaces for them to work. Where do we go from here? Our target in the next 3 years is to go all across the region and train at least 300 journalists and support them to do at least 20 investigations. And of course, we also want to leverage their stories for advocacy so that we actually have impact. What is our ask? For the next 3 years, we're looking at raising $600,000 to support our project plan. And how are we going to raise this money? We really want to go with the grant model because with that, we're able to sell social capital and attract people who are investing in social entrepreneurship and indeed social justice. We also are looking at raising $200,000 from a consultancy basis, which actually we are already starting to do. We got some work from Action Aid International to investigate corruption. We got some work from the Center for Investigative Journalism to investigate climate change. And we believe strongly that investigative journalism can make the world a better place. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, and that is our last innovator for today. A massive round of applause to all the young people who came through. Used impressive grants from AKU DW to create the innovations that we heard about here. And with the question that we had, what is the future? That is the future. Being able to think outside the box and leverage the opportunities around our communities. And the opportunities are those things that we call problems. Those problems are the opportunities. And young people, we are looking at these things differently. And one of the things that we need is us collectively to not just engage in conversations over and over and over again, coming back to these places every year, having the same conversations with the same subject lines, same topics, and not seeing change. How do we move forward and collectively, but at the same time individually, make sure that we are using our voices of influence in our spaces to actually now create the systemic change that needs to happen? How do we actively bring young people into the conversation? Because one of the things that remains true when I'm in most of these conversations tackling the challenges in the media landscape, we do not see many young people. We don't. Because then, one, are they not relating? Are they not invited? Do their voices not matter? But in a space like this, when we see young people now engaging actively, we have to give ourselves a round of applause because the future is exciting. Makofi kwenu wote. Not only have we tackled the past and learned how far we have come from the incredible videos that we have seen, but we've also had engaged in the present and being able to learn how different organizations have navigated several challenges to build different models, to think outside the box, to remain relevant and truly create a future that we can look up to. But at the same time, we have looked at both the challenges and opportunities, and we have dreamed collectively and challenged ourselves to be more innovative. Every single person here, you've heard the word innovation over and over and over again. One of the things I'd like to do as we are closing off this session is ask you to reflect personally. What does innovation truly mean to you? Manake tunaweza tukazungumzia ubunifu. Mara nyingi kila siku tunaweza kutumia hilo neno until it becomes a cliche. But what does it truly mean to you, and how can you then apply it? We can either come to these spaces, enjoy great conversation, about to enjoy great food, and leave the same as we came back. But how can this opportunity truly be transformative for you? We have an opportunity to engage with the innovators outside. You can engage with several of the partners who have come together to host this session this afternoon. That is Twaweza, DW Academy, Aga Khan University, Nukta Africa, as well as Jamii Forums. Engage with them and try to figure out how we can now individually think up outside the box. Because the question is, tumekuja, tumezungumza, we've come, we've spoken, but what next? What do we do next? That's something that, and a challenge that I'd like all of us to take home. And at the same time, we're talking press, World Press Freedom Day. What does press freedom look like in the future? Because as much as we're talking about innovation, we also have this conundrum on the side, right? The questions that we've reflected on, one of the questions is, how can we still have, how can we build a model that still allows media houses to leverage government support, but not have that kind of now one way or the other come in and compromise in the integrity of media pieces and quality of journalism? These are real questions that we have to ask ourselves, and these questions need real solutions. My biggest question as we're ending and closing this session is, what are you going to do about it? Or are you waiting for somebody else next to you to come up with a solution? All right? A massive hand of applause to all the panelists. A massive round of applause to all our innovators. But then also another massive round of applause to AKU, DW, Twaweza, Nukta Africa, as well as Jamii Forums. As we close, we've got 2 gift packages here. I'd like to call Dr. Nancy as well as Julia to the stage. We'd like to give some gifts to Bakari Machum, as well as the Miss Bonoman. Karibu sana. May I please ask both of you to come to the stage. This is the photo op for the larger photo op. Perhaps. So here is, oh. So I'm going to hand one over to you and one over to you, where you'll give one to Ms. Boneman and you'll give one to Bakari Machum. All right, another massive round of applause to them. Asanteni sana. Makofi kwao wanavyoshuka. Thank you for putting your money where your mouth is and truly resourcing the change that we have all spoken about. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of our session today. My name is Khalil Mbowe. I am the country director for Girl Effect here in Tanzania, where we use media to advocate change within societies, especially mixed communities, as well as the founder of Unleashed Africa, where we've tackled youth development, social innovation, and job creation issues. And I am also a conversation strategist, and I was a coach for one of our teams today. I'd like to ask us to give a massive round of applause to our coaches. The coaches, we have Michael right there. We have Francis, I don't know where he is, and we also have our lead coach, Anne, who are right there. Makofi kwao tafadhali, imekuwa ni kazi nzito. I'm going to ask us to give a round of applause to the teams from Twaweza, AKU, DW, Yami Forums, Makofi, as well as Nukta Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, a wonderful afternoon to you. Keep pressing for innovation and progress. Asanteni sana.
Thank you. I'm sure we'll be able to be very innovative for lunch this afternoon. We have only 25 minutes left. We need to do the room, dismantle it, and make the room ready for the rest of the teams. And we are late for half an hour, so please go grab your lunch just behind this building. And join us 10 minutes before 2. Kindly observe time. Otherwise, today we're going to be here until midnight. Thank you.